We have a jam-packed Broncos Breakdown show for you guys today on a nice Sunday as we wait for the Super Bowl to come around, and we're kind of half-assed watching the Pro Bowl here at Chat Sports. So, Matthew Peterson breaking down the latest Aaron Rodgers trade rumors, and maybe it's not going to happen after all. After that, we'll touch on whether or not the Broncos should re-sign Teddy Bridgewater. That was a fun thing I saw on Broncos Twitter. And then we'll go on to the Denver Broncos and the new regime, give a new look at Drew Lock and give maybe a chance for him to get his old starting job back. And finally, the latest coaching changes going on with Nathaniel Hackett and the boys coming into Mile High. So all that coming up on today's show. Make sure you stick around for all of it. But first, I want to open up the show by asking this question. What's your confidence level with Drew Lock as the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos? Scale for me, 1 to 100. 1 being zero confidence, 100 being he's my best friend, I trust him with my life. Let me know where you fall in between there. I'll ask this question later on in the show, and we'll talk more about Lock towards the tail end of it. First, though, Aaron Rodgers and the trade rumors around him. So, reports came out from Jeremy Fowler at ESPN that the Packers are pretty set on keeping Aaron Rodgers. Surprise, surprise. I wonder why they don't want to move on from the 3-time MVP. The ball is still in Aaron Rodgers' court on where he wants to play. He does not have a no-trade clause, so the Packers could trade him anytime they want, wherever they want him to go. So it's not like Rodgers can pick where he goes, but I do believe that if the Packers do end up trading Rodgers, they will consult with him and let him pick where he goes next because of everything he has given the organization. Jeremy Fowler hopped on SportsCenter on Sunday, and he had this to say. I'm told the Packers brass has been adamant, both publicly and privately, that they want Aaron Rodgers back and that they're all on the same page. GM Brian Gutekunst, I don't know how you say his last name, Gutekunst, has expressed that to Rodgers. Head coach Matt LaFleur has expressed that to Rodgers. Fowler would go on to say, they've been out full front and in public about that. But also, I've been told they've had some meetings with Rodgers, but it's been, not too intense yet. The Packers want to keep Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Why would they not want to keep Aaron Rodgers? Anything that comes out of the Green Bay front office, I'm going to take it with a bit of grain of salt because there's no doubt in my mind they want to keep Aaron Rodgers. He's the only thing that's kept half of those people employed. The other decisions they have made have been masked by the great play from Aaron Rodgers in the regular season. Granted, Rodgers has had some bad postseason mishaps, and not just on him. Matt LaFleur kicking a field goal with under 2 minutes to go in the NFC Championship game down by 2 scores last year against the Bucks. Probably not a good big brain decision there, Matt. But altogether, Rodgers has kept a lot of food on the table for other people working in that Green Bay front office because of his stellar play. Some other notes on Rodgers now. He's got 1 year left on his contract, and it's a big deal. Not meaning that in the figurative sense, but literal sense. $46.6 million cap hit in 2022. So what that tells me is that if he stays with Green Bay or if he gets traded, I would expect whatever team has him in this upcoming season to extend his contract to lower that cap hit and spread it out over the next 2 to 3 years to take some of the burden off, because $46.6 million and a $220-ish million cap hit, that's a huge chunk of the pie. Aaron Rodgers, right after the season ended for him and the Packers in the postseason, said, I expect a decision to be made for myself before NFL free agency begins, and that is on March 16th. So a month and 10 days-ish away, depending on when you're watching this. That's going to creep up quickly, and I'm excited for it because I think a decision will be made next 2 to 3 weeks, and I hope the decision is he wants to leave Green Bay and he wants to come, get a little high up in Mile High in Denver and hang out with his fiance up in the Rockies. So hopefully he comes to Denver. Let me know what you think. Type your T for trade or your P for pass. Do you want Broncos to come? Do you want the Broncos to go out and get Aaron Rodgers? I've seen a lot of comments. Honestly, it's been surprising for people to be out on Rodgers. He's a really good quarterback. Let's just not forget that. I'm all for the Broncos, though, trading for an established quarterback. I don't want to see them go out and draft a quarterback who needs some time to develop with how ready this roster is, especially on offense. You just extended Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick, and you got Jerry Jeudy cheap. Those 3 wide receivers are going to be together for the next 2 seasons. After that, can't guarantee it. So I wouldn't say they're a 2-year window to win a Super Bowl, but they got a 2-year window to be competitive so that they can maybe bring one of those guys back after the contract's up or be a nice destination for a future free agent wide receiver. So I think an established quarterback is the route to go, and hopefully that's Rodgers and not this next guy, Teddy Bridgewater. So nothing against Teddy. I bet he's a very nice guy. I like the name Teddy. I think it's a cool name. But I don't want him to be the starting quarterback for the Broncos anymore. Yeah, I think he was, myself included, beaten down way too harshly last season for things that were out of his control and things he probably did very well that just got overshadowed because of Vic Fangio and Pat Shurmur's ineptitude to run a good offense in 2021. So we'll talk about Teddy Bridgewater more in a moment. But if you guys have not subscribed to the channel already, help us reach our goal. We want to get to 6,000 subscribers before March. We are less than 400 away. So if you haven't subscribed, we would greatly appreciate it. Join the channel. Hit that big red button. I'm a cliche YouTuber right now, but I'm putting out free content for you guys all year long. So if you love the Broncos and you want to stay up to date this offseason, you found a good place to do it. Hit that big red button and subscribe today. So the Broncos beat reporter for ESPN, Jeff Legwold, he put out an interesting article that got a lot of people stirred up on Broncos Twitter. He predicts the Broncos re-signing Teddy Bridgewater for a 2-year, $39 million contract. So let's talk about Teddy for a moment. Went 7-7 last year as a starter, and I am a guilty party of being too harsh on Teddy, I would say, during the season for things that were not necessarily his fault, but at the end of the day, you're a quarterback in the NFL, you're going to take a lot of blame. But this is a bold claim. So one, I want to address something really quickly. I get 2-year, $39 million, sounds like a ton of money, and it kind of is a lot of money, but 2 things. One, a lot of it is incentive-oriented, and so if this contract ever were to happen, or whatever Teddy Bridgewater's next contract is, it's kind of a middle-of-the-road free agent, stopgap, quarterback who comes in and just fills in for a little bit until they get their real franchise QB. $20 million is about the going rate you're going to find for a quarterback if you want to get a good quarterback on the free agency market. So I think that actually is not such a bad deal. 2-year, $40 million, tons of it in incentives. $20 million, I think he said guaranteed. I actually don't have much of an issue with that. But the overall idea of re-signing Teddy Bridgewater is what I have an issue with, because you've got 14 games of tape on Teddy, and sure, the offensive coordinator and the play calling and the head coach did not help boost Teddy Bridgewater and get him to his full potential, but I do think we've seen everything there almost is to know about Bridgewater, and I doubt this regime wants to come in here and run it back with the same pieces it had last year that led to a 7-win team. So I'm not very interested in Bridgewater coming back. But here's what Jeff had to say. Well, at least put his quotes up here, or what he put in his article. Look, this isn't the scenario most Broncos fans want. Yeah, you think? But until Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson is actually in the trade market, the Broncos have to have a plan in play in 2022 and move forward. The free agent class of QBs is ho-hum at best, and Bridgewater fits what the Broncos will do on offense. And if Denver does use an early draft pick to select a quarterback, Bridgewater will be the best option as a mentor as well. I don't have an issue with Bridgewater mentoring a quarterback if you go down that route, but I also want to address what you just said also, Jeff, about the Bridgewater will fit what the Broncos want to do on offense best. The new entire offensive mindset coming into town with Hackett and new OC coming over from Green Bay as well, Uten. So I wouldn't know how you pronounce his name. I wouldn't say that Bridgewater wants to fit what they want to do. They want to do a West Coast kind of spread offense and air it out deep. That is not what Bridgewater's forte is. He is not a gunslinger, huge cannon of an arm, airmail it. And so if the Broncos cannot get, for example, their dream quarterback in Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, I would rather them go out and get Kirk Cousins or Jimmy Garoppolo or someone else, the more established QB, and then find out, draft a quarterback next year, because I'm not in love with this draft class to begin with. But I think the idea of going back and just running with it for the same exact thing that you saw last year is a little asinine, right? It's kind of the definition of crazy, stupid, whatever that saying is, of doing the same stuff over and over again and expecting different results. So As in the wise words of Michael Gary Scott, no, God, please, no. No. No! We are not running it back with Teddy Bridgewater. We saw it happen last year, and it's mediocre. It's average, and that's not a bad thing, okay? Bridgewater wasn't a 3-win quarterback who's going to be out of the league. He's an average quarterback. Sometimes he can play above average. Sometimes he plays below average. But across the board, he's kind of average. And I don't want to settle for average. I want better than average. So I don't want Bridgewater to come back because I think we know what there is out there on him, and I just want to see something else because if you try it again, I don't expect very different results. I don't expect Bridgewater to be winning postseason games, and ultimately, that's what I want to see for the Broncos. So let me know what you think about this. Teddy Bridgewater, 2-year, $39 million contract. Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. I'm setting my N for no down below, but unless you're Teddy's cousin or something and you want to put your Y for yes, by all means do so. And we'll have a very friendly and cordial debate in the YouTube comment section where things never get out of control. Our sponsor today is the great sports book out there called BetUS, where you can get a 125% deposit bonus for going to chatsports.com/bet. Plug in the promo code Broncos125 in. You put $100 in, they give you 125% on top of that. That means you have $225 to bet with. Super Bowl is in a week. You want to bet in the Rams -4. I kind of like Bengals +4 and the under 48.5, but I'll also be making tons of prop bets. You can bet on how long the national anthem goes for, the color Gatorade they dunk on the winning head coach, a whole bunch of great stuff. Make all your Super Bowl bets and really NBA, NHL, whatever tickles your fancy, whether it's the Avs or the Nuggets. Let me know. Speaking of the Nuggets, did you see that Hackett went to a Nuggets game? I like that. I don't know why, but when you just see that, it just makes you happy as a sports fan. You're like, I like my new head coach because he's at my NBA team. That's always fun to see. Drew Lock, though. I've seen a lot of people in the comment section of my videos asking for Drew Lock to come back as the starting quarterback. So I want to toss him in the video because clearly plenty of you out there think this is a legitimate and a good idea. And I'm not trying to be demeaning here, but I don't agree. He's entering the final year of his deal, and so it's an interesting chess piece for head coach Nathaniel Hackett because what do you do with a second-round quarterback who I would not say has been a complete bust, but he isn't a worthy of a second-round pick and a competent, reliable, consistent NFL starting quarterback. He is somewhere in between. Is he a good backup quarterback? Absolutely. Is he a starter? For me, no. I'm sorry if you want to see him starting out there. I know a lot of Broncos fans are still in on Drew Lock being a starting quarterback, and I can understand because when you invest a second-round pick on a guy, you want to see him pan out. You want to see him succeed. You want to know that that pick was well spent. But at some point, I think you got to cut your losses. And he's a sub 60% completion percentage quarterback. I mean, 4,700 yards in his career, 25 touchdowns to 20 interceptions. Those just are not the numbers of a day in and day out starting quarterback through 24 games. So a season and a half, basically, as an NFL quarterback. So I ask this question again. What is your confidence level with Drew Lock at quarterback? Scale for me 1 to 100. I sit at like 73, 74, right, just below a C, kind of C minus. There are worse quarterbacks out there that have a job right now in the NFL. I think Drew Lock is a top 45 quarterback. You got to think there's 2 quarterbacks on every team. That's 32 quarterbacks times 2, 64. He's in the upper 2/3, but well, now we're just sounding like nerds here. So whatever. Let me know what you think. Scale for me 1 to 100. Final note on today's show. Hackett has been busy on the coaching trail, sort of. He has not brought back a lot of familiar faces. So we're going to run through all the coaching changes since he has taken over, meaning people who are not returning. So tight end coach Wade Harmon, he is not returning. Defensive line coach Mike Heistand, he is not returning. Offensive quality control coach Chris Cook, not returning. Defensive pass game coordinator Chris Beek, not returning. Defensive coordinator, this was an interesting move. Ed Donatel, he is going to Seattle to help out with the Seahawks. He is not returning. That was an interesting move because I thought the Broncos, as far as new head coaching hires, Hackett walked into a better situation than most first-year head coaches do. A lot of great pieces in Denver, so it's not like he has to gut the program and rebuild from the ground up. I thought that was an interesting move. Inside linebacker coach Reggie Herring and assistant offensive line coach Chris Cooper, all those guys not coming back for the new regime. Still waiting on who the new DC will be in Denver, along with some other positional coaches to be filled, so keep an eye on that. We'll have you updated here on the Broncos Breakdown. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a great week, and we'll catch you later here on the channel.